Today I want to talk about the importance of joy, other than the obvious. Here we go.
This is your life, no one else has gotta live it. This is your fight that only you can win.
Hello everyone and welcome to Freedom Friday, where you learn how to free yourself and live your dreams. I'm Darienne, your certified spiritual rock star. And I want to talk about the importance of joy other than the obvious that it feels good, you know? So I've been thinking, and you guys know I've been studying Abraham Hicks for a couple, maybe like a year and a half now, 2 years, since I was pregnant with Miss Meadow, who was almost 1 year old. 1 year old, not 1 year. So I've been studying the word and the teachings of Abraham, and I am now on my second Abe book, an Esther Hicks and Abe book. I read Ask and It Is Given, which I have the hard copy of, and I just got, what the hell is the name of it? Oh, The Astonishing Power of Emotions. Aha. So I started to realize the concept of joy. So everything that Abraham teaches is about raising your vibrations. It's about the importance of how you feel. And it seems like this sort of magical potion, and you're like, okay, I do this, and then I gotta feel good. But what I realized just today was that when I'm in this state of happiness, so Abe talks about this scale of emotions, and it goes everywhere from depression, and as you move up, you get to like frustration, and then boredom, and then contentment, and then ecstatic joy. Now there's a lot more in between that, but a quickie of the emotional scale. So everywhere from depression until joy, pure bliss, love, passion, all that good stuff. And what I realized was that, you know, I have all these dreams, right? So I have all these, and you have all these dreams, right? And all these abilities and talents and skills and things that you want to master and do in your life. And one of my many dreams is, you know, being a singer. I mean, I am a singer, but that's also a huge dream of mine. And, you know, just living that life of just always having music around me and always performing. And there was a time in my life where I was musically performing a lot more. Really, I'm not performing it at all right now, but a lot more than I really ever was performing. And that really was when I was in a state of joy. And then I thought about the time before that when I was like pushing against the current and trying to make it in the music business, and it seemed so difficult for me. And what I realized was the difference between those two, and not just those two instances, but many other instances that I was reviewing over my whole life today. I was doing that review. I realized that the state, emotional state that I was in both of those instances. And then I started to realize that every time I'm happy, shit is just fucking easy. The songs come to me, the good songs come to me. The rendezvous happen, the things, all of the pieces coming together. I don't feel like I'm swimming against the current. People are calling me off the hook, asking me to perform. I feel so good that I feel inspired to go to the gym and to work on my body, which is my instrument as a singer, and to do my vocal exercises. And they feel good to do. Not like where if I'm not in that state, it all feels like work. And I'm like, can't I just fucking sing? You know what I mean? It all feels like work and nothing works out. And this really is with my whole life. And so what I realize is that when we get in this state of like what Abe calls it is the vortex, right? And when you're out of the vortex is in those positive emotional, so everywhere just above contentment and up. I would say even at contentment and up. You know, that sense of deep peace and just blissed out joy and everything that comes with that that's what Abraham would call the vortex. And so I realized that when I was out of the vortex, I tried to do everything backwards. And that's what we do. We try to do everything backwards and we don't realize it. We're like, okay, I feel like shit. So if I just clean my whole house, I'm gonna feel great. And if I just like work out really, really hard, then I'll feel better. And you know, we just come up with all these trillions of things that we need to do and all these moving parts and all these to-do lists that go on and on and on. We're like, if I could just get this done, it's gonna make me feel better. When really what happens is when we get into that state of joy, that state of, when we get into the vortex or we get into that state of bliss or peace or happiness or contentment, like deep, deep, utter contentment, everything becomes easy and inspired. So we get that confusion because we're like, back when I was happy, I worked out a lot. You know, back when I was happy, my house was always clean. I was always cleaning when I was happy. And we think that that was what caused our happiness when really it was a result of it. So if we're like, oh, you know, I sang so much more, I was doing so many more shows back when I was happy. Well, because when people are happy, they sing. And a singer is going to sing when they're happy. I mean, even when we're sad, but we're in this state of connection, right? We still sing and it feels good. And if you ever notice, as any artists that are watching this now, if you ever notice yourself get writer's block, and then when you're in a state of maybe love or bliss or joy or whatever, you don't get writer's block. You're just like, whatever, everything's wonderful. And the ideas are just pouring. You're like, I have centuries of songs in me, or centuries of paintings or poems or whatever it is that you're creating. You just feel like you have eternity of creation inside of you when you're in that state of bliss. And so that's what I started to discover today. I thought that that was something that I could bring to you guys to really kind of make you think a little bit. So like, don't get it so backwards. The importance, you know, it's not about what you do that makes you happy. It's about being happy. And then you just end up doing those things. So to be able to live that life of joy, to be able to live the life of your dreams, is to be in that state of joy, constantly bringing yourself to that state of joy. And then everything, just as Abe says, in the vortex is your greatest potential. It is this delicious, as they describe it, this delicious, amazing love, intense passion, life, joy. Everything is just glorious in the vortex. And when we're in that state of joy, that's where we are. We're living our dreams with ease. You know, we're not like, I'm gonna wrestle my dreams to the ground, you know, because I've tried to do that. Trust me, when I first started singing professionally, which was right when I had my spiritual awakening, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna sing, this has been my dream my whole life. And I went out there and I felt like I was swimming against the current every fucking day. I was busting my ass and I was getting nowhere. It was like I was writing all these songs, and I loved them, and people were like, these are such good songs. But then, you know, I would go to record them, and at first it was, you know, I didn't have musicians to like play the music for me or even write the music, because at that point I didn't play any instruments. And so I was like, okay, I'm gonna get a guitar. And I learned how to play guitar, which was wonderful. I love playing my guitar. And then I taught myself how to play piano, at least enough piano to get me by, to write songs. And it was like, okay, I'm just gonna do it myself. I'm gonna do it all. And then I would get a band, and the band would fall apart. Or, you know, the guitar player would show up 2 hours late every fucking practice. Or like, it was always like swimming against the current. Or I would hook up with this musician that was like, you know, oh, everything, it just seemed like everything was clicking, and then the dude just wanted to hook up with me, and I'm like, really? I just want to be a fucking musician, and you guys are assholes. I was just always swimming against the current. And then I started to learn a lot more about spirituality and a lot more about joy and bliss and taking responsibility for your own happiness. And then what I didn't realize, that from doing that, everything else got easier. Everything else got easier. So it's so interesting that like I found that blissful place and then I lost it. And you guys know, through my pregnancy, I was super depressed. And now I'm getting to the point where I'm like, okay, because what happens when you do that? When you're like, back when I was happy, you start to analyze that. So now I'm really like, and through the teachings of Abe, I'm really, really understanding the importance of joy. And not just, back then it was like, I need to be happy because the alternative for me is like wanting to die every day and being in utter like emotional prison. And now it's like, that's not really happening, but I'm like, okay, I still need to figure out the importance of joy. Needs to be #1 priority for me. And I need to understand why it's so important. And so I love that I'm discovering that. And I love being able to share that with you. And so next week, what I'm going to talk about is practicing joy. So I'm going to give you a suggestion on like the first things you do when you wake up in the morning, making it just totally blissful, and how to make joy really your priority. But this was just sort of like a preface of that, and my discovery and understanding why joy is so fucking important. There's so many other reasons why joy is so important, because we want to feel good, obviously, but when we practice joy, when we make joy a priority, when we make it a decision to be joyful, and we do what is necessary, we make that commitment to that kind of joy, and that we're going to be responsible for it. When we do that, what happens is, it's like we click in, right? Does that make sense? Like, it's like the train tracks that just click in. We just click right in, and it's like, now we're on our way. And everything's smooth sailing, you know? If we just practice joy, rather than saying, I'm just going to work out every day and it's going to make me happy, or I'm just going to do this, or I'm going to, you know, go to therapy once a week, or I'm going to clean my house, make sure my house is always clean. Like, we can't, those are the difference between the two things that I'm speaking about, is that those are really like outward, exterior things that you're trying to change in order to change the way you feel. Where we really want to start our day off with changing the way we feel before we do any of that, because it just makes all of that a lot easier. So there it is. I hope that got some wheels turning, you know? So you still have a couple more days to get your New Year 2017 tarot card reading that I'm doing for $44, and after Sunday it will go up to $78. You can do that right on DarienneEmpire.com. Of course, this is January 2017, so if you're watching this at another new year, they're no longer available. But maybe in the description I'll have something else available. Who knows? All right, guys, I love you so much, and I will see you next week. Hey guys, thank you so much for watching my video. Give it a thumbs up and share it with whoever you think it could help. Don't forget to join the inspiration conversation down below and give me an idea for my next Freedom Friday video. If you want to get these videos every single week and more, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Also, make sure you find me on social media at Darienne Empire on Facebook and Instagram. Thank you so much for your support. I love you all.